Bismillah, alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alif lam mim. Zalikal kitabu la rayba fih. Hudan lil muttaqeen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, the series we are going to start is basically called the Qur'an series. In the Qur'an series, we will try to answer different questions and talk about different topics regarding the Qur'an, and we will try to answer the doubts which might be in the hearts of our Muslim brothers and sisters, the doubts that are put forward by atheists, agnostics, and people of other religion, so we can prove that the Qur'an is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this part of the series, we will answer the question that Qur'an is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This part of the series will have a few subparts, subdivisions. The next part, we will talk about the preservation of the Qur'an. Okay, so in this series, as I mentioned earlier, we will answer the question, is Qur'an the word of Allah? Now, people of other religions, atheists, agnostics make the claim that Qur'an is not the word of Allah. Okay, so if it's not the word of Allah, where did the Qur'an come from? They say, Ma'azallah, na'uzu billah, that it is from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is authored by Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ma'azallah. Okay, we as Muslims of course believe that it is the word of Allah, it is Kalamullah, but they say that, okay, if Prophet Muhammad authored it, they basically are claiming that ma'azallah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam lied. But we as Muslims believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most truthful and the most trustworthy. Now they would say that of course you would believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most truthful and the most trustworthy because you're Muslims. But then we will tell them that we believe that, of course, but we have the testimony of the enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam claiming that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most truthful. हमारे पास रसूलुल्लाह के दुश्मनों की शहादत मौजूद है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सबसे ज़्यादा सच्चे थे, रसूलुल्लाह सादिक और अमीन थे. For this purpose, you have to look at the hadith of Bukhari 4770. The summary of this hadith is such that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he gathered the Quraysh to give his da'wah, he ascended the mountain of Safa and he basically gathered the Quraysh, called the Quraysh, and he said to them, suppose I told you that there is an enemy cavalry which is intending to attack you, जो कि तुम्हारे पे हमला करने आ रही है, would you believe me? Rasulullah asked them, would you believe me? अभी रसूलुल्लाह ने दावा नबूवत उनके सामने नहीं किया था, तो रसूलुल्लाह ने कहा कि would you believe me? क्या तुम मेरी तस्दीक करोगे इस बात में कि अगर मैं कहूँ कि एक आर्मी आ रही है तुम लोगों पे हमला करने, तो क्या कहा कुफार ने? रसूलुल्लाह, ये याद रखिए कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम spent 40 years in them, and 40 years he built his reputation of being the most truthful. And of course we know his personality as well. The personality of a liar is very different. The psychological profile of a liar is very different. Rather, the profile of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his character is amazing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Okay, so what happens in this hadith? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, would you believe me? Do you know what they said? They said, Naam, yes, ma jawabna alayka illa sidqa, which means that yes, for we have not found you telling anything other than the truth, right? कि उन्होंने कहा कि हमने आपसे सच के अलावा और कभी कुछ नहीं सुना. ये रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के दुश्मनों की शहादत है इस बारे में. It is a testimony of the enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then who can claim that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ma'azallah, na'uzu billah, lied? There is another way to answer this question. And this way is basically, there was a research done in 2012. What they did was they compared the word of Allah, the Quran, and the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they used Sahih Bukhari, which is the most authentic book on the face of the earth after the Quran. They compared these two and to show that Qur'an is the word of Allah and it is not the word of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to know here that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Qur'an was revealed to Rasulullah in the period of 23 years. Now, a person cannot maintain two styles of saying something, two styles of talking over the course of 23 years. If a person talks in a way, he cannot maintain two linguistic patterns of speaking over 23 years. But when Sahih al-Bukhari and the Quran were compared, a few conclusions came about. And these conclusions are very interesting. Let me share these conclusions with you. The first conclusion here is the words composed of a single letter, like we know the vow is a single letter, vow, which means and. The words composed of a single letter are much more frequently used in the Quran than the Hadith. जो single letter words है वो कुरान में हदीस से ज़्यादा है. दूसरा conclusion जो यहाँ जिक्र होता है वो ये है कि कुरान के अंदर approximately there are twice the number of words with 9 and 10 letters than the Hadith. इससे ये पता चलता है that the Quranic vocabulary contains longer words than the Hadith, words which are longer than 8 letters. और आखिरी conclusion यहाँ पे बहुत interesting है, जिससे हमें ये प्रूव होता है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की जो स्पीच का तरीका था, जो अल्फाज थे, जो बोलने का स्टाइल था, वो डिफरेंट था than the Quran, which is a proof that Quran is the word of Allah. रसूलुल्लाह, इसमें जो आखिरी conclusion है वो यहाँ पे mention वो ये है कि 62% of the words from the Hadith are not found in the Quran, and 83%, देख रहे हैं आप, 83% of the Quran's words are not found in the Hadith. This conclusion of differing vocabulary is also reinforced by the above mentioned results, which I basically mentioned earlier, कि 83% और 62% कितना बड़ा और कितना significant ये difference है, और ये कितनी significant amount है, कितनी significant percentage है. So यहाँ पे एक बहुत important again फिर मैं यही बात करूँगा कि 23 years इंसान जो है वो दो distinct styles बोलने के जो है वो maintain नहीं कर सकता, right? और आखिर में एक चीज़ याद रखिए कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम himself was not a poet, और ये भी याद रखिए कि Quran is not poetry nor is it prose. Rather, it is the kalam of Allah. It has a unique style. It is a linguistic miracle, and it is a miracle in every sense, because no one could copy it, no one has copied it, and no one will ever be able to copy its style ever. Okay, so Allah says in the Quran, it is verse 69 of Surah Yasin, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ, we have not taught him poetry. وَمَا يَنْبَغِي لَهُ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ وَقُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ, and nor is it fitting for him कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के शायान शान नहीं कि वो पोइट्री को जाने, और जो कुरान है, this is only a reminder and a clear Quran, right? Qur'anu Mubin. So I think this is enough for today. Inshallah हम बाकी doubts के answers अगली videos में देंगे. Jazakallah khair. We have to know the Quran is the kalam of Allah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.